Hey everyone, welcome back to part 2 of my Metal Gear Solid 4 Trophy Roundup. This time around, I'm going to be looking at the emblems and giving you a guide on how to make things easier for getting them, as well as touching upon certain things that you can do at the same time. So, without further ado, here we go. The emblems will easily be what you spend most of your time on. Which is weird considering the fact that there isn't even a trophy for getting them all. Now, it's at this point that I hear you saying, if there's no trophy, why even bother getting them? Well, here's the thing. There may not be a trophy for getting all of the emblems, but there is a trophy for getting all of the iPod songs in the game. 2 of the iPod songs are tied in to the emblems. You get 1 song for achieving the Big Boss emblem, and you get another song for getting all 40 emblems. Yeah, that's right, 40 emblems. This is going to be a bit of a slog. Now, before you get too worried about this, don't worry. Even though there are 40 emblems, that doesn't mean you have to play through the game 40 times. That would just be insane, let's be honest here. However, I feel you should know, if you're serious about this, if you're serious about going for the platinum of this game, then you should know beforehand that you will need to play through the game at least 8 times. Which isn't as bad as 40, but it's still a considerable number. It's still going to take you a fair amount of time to do it. Why 8 times, I hear you ask? Because of these 8 emblems. These 8 emblems are the ones that have just ruined your day. Yes, they may look similar in regards to the requirements you have to fulfill to get them, but if you look closely, they are all mutually exclusive from one another, meaning that you will only be able to get one of these emblems for each playthrough that you do. You will never be able to get 2 at once. But that's okay, because you can plan the other 32 emblems around these 8. Depending on what playthrough you're going to go for, you can sort of mix and match the other emblems you're going to get at the same time. More so with the Scorpion and the Puma emblems, if I'm being honest. In fact, if you go for the Puma emblem, there are so many other emblems you can get at the same time. It's actually ridiculous. Do you want to know how many emblems you can get if you go for the Puma one at the same time? 21. I'm not making that up, you can get 21 emblems if you go for the Puma one. And here is how. This is a list of all the things that you should do if you're going for the Puma emblem. It's quite the laundry list of things, and it does look quite intimidating, but honestly, once you sort of get into the swing of things of doing all of this, it's not really that bad. Now, the reason why I suggest getting all of these in just one playthrough is mainly because of the very top item there. Over 35 hours playing time. That alone will give you more than enough time to do everything on this list. In fact, numbers 2, 3, and 4 are just an extension of what you're going to be doing anyway to get the Puma emblem in the first place. It's just more of them, more alerts, more kills, and more continues. So it's kind of just the logical step to go in. The next couple of items, Crawl for 1 hour, Crouch for 2.5 hours, Wall Hug, and Hide in a cardboard box or a drum can. Again, they're really easy to do. A bit time consuming, but really easy. I should note though that you don't have to do each individual item for that set time continuously. As long as you chalk up an hour of crawling throughout the game, that's fine. 2.5 hours of crouching throughout the game, that's fine. Although I do recommend that you do take some time out to just find a safe space in the game. And then either put Snake on the ground, have him crouch, put him in a box, make him go up against the wall, and then just walk away and leave the game for that time period. It'll be so much easier that way, because then you can be sure that you've done it for the right amount of time. And also, that's like 5.5 hours of your 35-hour limit already wasted. Nice one! The rest of these are pretty much self-explanatory, but I do want to bring special attention to a couple more of them. Mainly the one that says roll to the side 200 times. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because, yeah, it's not difficult to do, it's easy enough to roll sideways a couple of hundred times. However, you have to be led on the floor to do this. You cannot be stood up and you cannot be crouched. Mainly because, for whatever reason, the game counts a sideways jump as a forward roll. I don't know why. So you can imagine the confusion on my face after I've spent a considerable amount of time in Act 1 rolling to the side, rolling forwards, thinking I've done everything to fulfill those two requirements, only to be told in the Act 2 mission briefing that I have sideways rolled 0 times and I have done 450 forward rolls. Yeah, I was extremely confused at that point. But anyway, sideways roll only when you are crawling. That's what needs to be said there. Next up are the combat highs. Now, you've probably played through the game a couple of times before this trophy patch, and you've either gone through the game without getting a single combat high, or you've managed to get a couple beforehand, but not quite known how you've done it. Well, this is how you get a combat high. You need to be in an alert phase, and you need to have a stress level of over 50%. Once these two things are met, once you have these two requirements fulfilled, just equip a machine gun or a rifle, just not a pistol. Equip one of those guns and then just keep firing it. You don't even have to aim at anyone, just shoot a wall. And eventually, by Snake's name, you will see combat high appear in red letters. That's one combat high you've achieved. To end a combat high, all you need to do is get out of the alert phase. So go and hide somewhere around a corner and then just drop it to evasion mode, and then your combat high ends. And then just keep repeating that over and over until you've done 10. It's simple enough to do. Now, on to the last two items, finding weapons and flashbacks. One of the emblems requires you to get all 69 weapons in the game. Some of them you can only buy from Drebin, some of them only drop from the enemies, and some of them you will find hidden throughout the different areas. Considering you need to spend at least 35 hours in the game, now is a good time to just explore every single area as much as you can to find these weapons that are hidden. Don't worry too much though if you still come up short after exploring every area extensively and buying everything that you can from Drebin. There are a couple of weapons you can only get from getting certain emblems. There are about 4 weapons you can get that way, so don't worry too much about it if you don't get everything on the first run through. Now, as far as flashbacks go, they have nothing to do with emblems. I have to admit that. Flashbacks have nothing to do with emblems, but there is a trophy for them. And again, considering you need to spend 35 hours playing this playthrough to get all of these emblems, you may as well view all of the cutscenes whilst you're here. A flashback is, whenever you're viewing a cutscene, in the top right corner you will see an X appear. When it does, just mash that X button as fast as you can. That's pretty much all you need to do. Go through the entire game and mash X every single time you see that symbol, and you should pick up that trophy at the end of the game. Now, I haven't noted this down, but after doing this playthrough, because you would have continued more than 50 times, at the end of the game you will get given the corpse camo. This is important for a trophy. You need this camo to get a trophy. All you do for this one is once you've acquired said corpse camo, just run up to any enemy, doesn't matter which one, trigger an alert phase, and then go into the menu, choose camouflage, octo camo manual, and then scroll down to corpse camo. Select it, go back out into the game, and then just drop to the ground. Now hold X so you drop to the ground, then hold triangle until you lay out flat. Eventually, the enemies who are shooting at you will think you are dead and give up. And that's another trophy achieved. So, that's one playthrough talked about. One playthrough where you can get 21 emblems. Now, let's talk about a second playthrough you can do. In fact, this playthrough is going to be the exact opposite of the last one I just talked about. For this one, you're going to be going for the Scorpion emblem, and more importantly, the Big Boss emblem. Doing this playthrough can get you another 10 emblems. This playthrough is actually going to be a lot simpler than the Puma emblem run, because you don't need to keep track of anywhere near as much stuff. All you need to do is focus on these things. That's it. Nothing else. Just focus on doing all of that and you will get 10 more emblems. Which, assuming my math is correct, will leave you with 9 emblems to get through more playthroughs. 6 of which you already know about. They are the rest of the mutually exclusive emblems that I was talking about earlier, and the other 3 are these. These 3 emblems, of course, you can actually choose when you want to do them. With the Assassin emblem, though, obviously, you want to do it when you're doing a playthrough where you need to get less than 25 alerts. As far as Bluebird goes, you can actually do that during any playthrough if you wanted to. I don't recommend doing it during the Big Boss emblem run, though, because, first of all, time is of the essence in that run. And second, you might accidentally end up using a healing item on yourself without realizing it, which would just ruin the entire run. And as far as Little Grey goes, considering that's the emblem to do with all the weapons, that will just take as many runs as is necessary to get all of the guns yourself, so don't worry yourself too much about that one. And that's pretty much all there is to say about the emblems. I've covered them all, given you a guide on how to get the most emblems from just 2 playthroughs, and hopefully you'll be able to get all of them with minimal hassle. So hopefully this guide has been helpful for you, and as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.